So I'm here at Banshee Reeks Nature Preserve, and I'm about to go check out the prescribed goat grazing project that they have going on over here. Now, they've got a little information written up on it over here, but just a few neat things about goats and then some other things to keep in mind. This is a wonderful alternative in some situations having to do with, invasive plant control. Of course, invasives are bad. We know how they take over and whatever. And goats can certainly eat a variety of them. They won't eat them all, and that is important to realize, but they do get into places where other ones can't. The way that their mouths are shaped helps them to actually be able to crush seed, so less of it goes through. The heavy machinery doesn't compact the ground as much because the goats are much more lighter on their feet, as it were. Goats have an attractive little option as far as people are concerned. Again, and you can use them on very uneven land and so forth. But there are things you need to keep in mind. One, you need to house them and protect them, so that involves an electric fence. And so mostly what they're doing here, and what they a lot of times do, is have two fences. One, to keep people away from the actual electric fence, which is back over through here. And then they do need fresh water, so you have to account for that. But you also have to be very careful not to have them too near water areas, because you don't want them pooping into the watershed and so forth, or things in the RPA. You also can't make them choose to eat what you want them to eat. They'll eat everything, and so that makes a difference. It may be that what they do is eat certain plants that you didn't want them to, and also there may be some plants that they don't want to eat. It may be just cheaper, an alternative to use chemicals, herbicides, and more efficient in that way, because you can target it, you can cut and spray, just to place the plants that you want to affect without affecting a lot of other things. There's lots to it, but in many situations, including situations where you don't want to cause an issue, where there might be sensitive land, sensitive water nearby, or you're trying to avoid pesticides, and this is a legitimate alternative, again, that's stuff that they'll actually eat, then this is a neat idea. Let me go look for our goats and see what we have with them. So here we have our goats, our invasive plant control, taking a break from their hard work. Again, you can see they're fenced in on both sides. One other big thing on all sides with the double fence, want to keep people away from the electric fence, and then of course the electric fence itself. And again, this is a great, wonderful idea in certain areas, but they do have limitations. Again, our goats are here looking at us and so forth. You can see they've already started to work, and they can reach really high up. In fact, they're pretty good climbers. The couple of drawbacks with them, though, is that you do need, of course, to provide for their safety. Not just the electric fence, not just fresh water. They need to be checked on. I think it's every day, but they need checked on pretty regularly. And they got to have shade. And so, they're eating their shade away a little bit at a time here. But they will, they do have back down there, I don't know if you remember from previous video, the little shelter that they can go into, especially at night. And then you do move them periodically so they get fresh forage. There are certain plants that they will eat and certain plants they won't. And it's just, they're in the right place with the right conditions, taking into account their needs, their safety, as well as what is around. Again, you can't make them, you can't control what they eat. And as you can see, they'll strip everything down, even stuff from trees and stuff. So even if it's not invasive, like this red cedar, that does not make them immune to getting eaten, as you can see. So they'll eat most things, but there are certain invasives they won't eat either. So that's another thing you need to take into account. So given the proper conditions, this can be a very effective alternative towards, as it were, the herbicides and manual pulling and so forth, especially in difficult to access areas, places where you just are not going to use herbicides for whatever reason, and where being selective about what they eat is not an issue. If that's the case, what a great kind of idea. Benefits the goats, and it benefits the ecology too when used properly, so that they can eat all sorts of invasives as well. So this is again a neat little project using goats for prescribed grazing in certain areas, fenced in as you can see, so that they can be moved from one area to another to control invasive plants and strip everything out from around there, crushing the seeds, not using any kind of herbicides, not compacting the soil as much. And again, kind of a all or nothing type of thing, because they do eat almost everything. But if you do it right, this can be a very effective thing. Goat grazing as an invasive management system. Besides, Goats are lovable and charismatic. Who wouldn't want to have them as part of a project? Maybe some of the best co-workers you can find, even if they get ornery with each other a little bit. Goat grazing as an invasive management tool.